say you're sitting there, watching the sunset, and suddenly a little light flickers in the air, like a tiny firefly, blinking like it's trying to text you. What the hell is that? How does it even work? You know that thing you do when you're bored and you blink your eyes at the ceiling? Fireflies do that too, except they do it with their butts, or maybe their tails, or whatever the back end of a bug is called. It's not just any light, it's bioluminescence, which is basically the science version of I'm glowing because I want to. And it's not even that hard. You just need a few chemicals, a little oxygen, and a tiny amount of luck. But here's the kicker. Fireflies don't just glow for fun. They're trying to find a mate. Like, if you're a firefly, your tail is basically your dating profile. And it's written in light. So yeah, fireflies turn their tails into light. Not because they're magical. Not because they're trying to be dramatic. Just because they're bumps with a weirdly cool way of flirting. So what's next? Maybe we'll talk about how they actually do the flirting. But first, let's take a break and enjoy some snacks. Because if fireflies can do this, you can too. So what exactly are we talking about? Like, are we talking about fireflies or fireflies' tails? Because I mean, they're both kind of the same thing, right? But now, we're talking about their tails. These tails are basically just a bunch of tiny lights in a row, like a string of Christmas lights that forgot to get programmed. And those lights, they're not actually lights, they're chemicals. Wait, no, they're also lights. It's confusing. So when they flash, it's not like they're turning on a switch. It's more like they're doing a dance with their chemicals, like a sparkly disco party in the dark. And the whole point? To communicate with other fireflies. But here's the thing. They don't just blink randomly. It's like a secret code, like if fireflies had a language. Some flash fast, some slow, some in patterns, like a firefly version of Morse code. And it's not just for dating. They also use it to scare off predators, like a tiny, glowing alarm system. So basically, they're like the original glow sticks, but way more sophisticated. So yeah, we're talking about these tiny, glowing, chemical-powered disco balls that fireflies use to talk to each other, scare things, and maybe even find a partner. It's basically a light show with a purpose. You're probably thinking, why should I care about fireflies? Well, imagine if your tail could glow like a fairy light. That's basically what they're doing, and it's way cooler than you'd admit. Fireflies aren't just cute bones, they're nature's own light bulbs. And if they can do it, maybe we can too. Like, maybe one day we'll have light that doesn't need electricity. And honestly, if fireflies can make light without a power source, maybe we should be using that for something. Like, your phone, or your fridge, or your soul. So yeah, even if you don't like bugs, you should secretly care. Because if fireflies can glow, maybe we can too. And that's kinda magical. So, fireflies didn't just pop out nowhere with glowing tails. They evolved over millions of years, like a bad dating app profile that finally got a good bio. Think of it like a slow, light-up Tinder match. Early fireflies probably just had regular bugs' legs and a basic light bulb in their butt. Not the most glamorous start, but hey, it worked for a while. Then one day, a firefly said, I want to be the lightest, brightest, most annoying bug in the night sky. And boom! They evolved into the glowing superstars we know today. It's like if a disco ball had a bug party and the fireflies were the main attraction. They lit up the dark, confused the predators, and made the whole ecosystem go, okay, that's a thing now. So, in short, fireflies turned their tails into light through evolution, like a bad joke that became a classic. And now they're the original bioluminescent influencers. So, fireflies don't have a light bulb in their tail. They have the special light-making stuff inside their body. It's like having a tiny flashlight made of jelly and magic. Their tail has tiny parts called organs that mix chemicals to make light. It's like mixing baking soda and vinegar, but way cooler and with more sparkles. The light they make is super cool because it doesn't get hot. That's why you can touch them and they don't burn you. They're basically cold light wizards. They use this light to talk to each other. Like, hey, I'm a boy firefly, come dance with me. Or nope, I'm a girl, I'm not interested. It's like a light-based dating app. So, in short, fireflies have a special light-making machine inside their tail. It's like a tiny, glowing jellyfish that's also a super cool light show. So, fireflies aren't just tiny sparkly bugs, they're like nature's tiny disco balls. They've got this special light-up thing going on, but first, they need to set the stage. Think of it like a tiny flashlight with a weird light switch. This light isn't just random, it's controlled by their nervous system, like a tiny brain telling their tail to glow. It's not like a light bulb, it's more like a tiny disco light show that only they can control. But here's the thing, they don't just glow all the time. They have to make a decision. Do they want to flash or not? It's like when you're at a party and you decide whether to turn on your disco ball or not. So, the nervous system sends a signal, like a message in a bottle, to the light-producing cells in their tails. It's like telling your phone to turn on the flashlight, but with a lot more glitter. And just like that, the light turns on. It's not just a light, it's a signal, a conversation, a way to say, hey, I'm here or I'm interested. It's like a tiny light show with a purpose. So the firefly's tail isn't just a fancy light bulb. It's like a tiny chemical spark plug. Inside those glowing spots, there's a special mix of chemicals that get excited when they meet. When the chemicals meet, they do a little dance, a sparky glowing dance, and that's how the light starts. It's like a party in a tiny, glowing party hat. So when the firefly wants to light up, it basically says, okay, let's party. And the chemicals go wild, making a whole bunch of light without getting hot. And when it's done, the party ends, the light goes out, and the chemicals go back to their regular jobs, like a bunch of bored partygoers waiting for the next invite. So, in short, fireflies use a chemical party to make light, and they control the party with their nervous system. It's basically a tiny, glowing light show with a brain. Okay, so now the firefly has this glowing chemical mix, but it needs to control when it lights up. That's where the clever twist comes in. Fireflies have a special muscle right near their tail, like a tiny remote control. When the firefly wants to light up, it squeezes that muscle. It's like pressing the power button on a lamp, but with a little bit of biology. The muscle contracts and sends a signal through the body. But here's the kicker. The light isn't always on. Fireflies can turn it off and on in milliseconds. That's why you see them blink like they're texting in Morse code. So the clever twist isn't just a muscle. It's a whole system of control. It's like having a remote, a light, and a battery all in one tiny insect body. Fireflies are basically nature's glowing remote control toys. So here's the real secret. Fireflies aren't just glowing like a fairy light. They're actually using a chemical reaction called bioluminescence. It's like when you mix baking soda and vinegar, but with some fancy molecules. They have this special protein called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase. Together, they make light without any heat, which is why they don't burn out like a light bulb. The light is actually produced in a tiny organ called the lantern. It's like a tiny flashlight inside their belly, and they can control it like a switch. No batteries needed, just chemistry. And here's the kicker, they can even flash different patterns to communicate, like a tiny Morse code, or a secret language only other fireflies can read. It's like a firefly version of texting. So next time you see a firefly, remember those little flashes aren't just magic. They're a whole chemistry lab working overtime, all to make you feel like you're in a fairy tale. So imagine your tail is a tiny disco ball, and your body is a DJ. You're spinning the disco ball, and the light is just the party vibe you're trying to create. But instead of music, you're using chemicals. Like when you mix baking soda and vinegar, but way cooler and with more glitter. The light isn't coming from your tail. It's coming from inside your body, like a tiny solar panel that's also a flashlight. And the best part? You don't have to plug it in. It's all chemical energy, like a battery that's also a light show. Quick word from our sponsor. If this sounds like something you enjoy, take a look at the Amazon Echo Dot smart speaker. There's a link and a QR code on screen right now, and in the description below. Alright, back to it. So yeah, your tail is like a tiny disco ball, but with science and a lot of glitter. And I'm still not sure why it's called a tail, but it's doing the light show. Okay, so you're thinking, wait, do fireflies actually use their tails to make light? And the answer is, no, not exactly. They use their tails, but it's not like they're turning a light switch on in their butt. It's more like they're flipping a tiny switch in their tail, and that switch turns on a bunch of tiny light bulbs. But here's the weird part. The tail isn't just a tail. It's actually a specialized part of their body called a lantern, and it's packed with thousands of tiny light-producing cells called photocytes. Think of it like a tiny, glowing light show inside a little bug. And the best part? These photocytes don't just make light. They also control how much light is made, like a dimmer switch. So when you see a firefly flickering, it's not just being silly. It's actually communicating with other fireflies in a secret language of light. So yeah, it's not like they're turning their tails into light. They're using their tails as a light source. It's like if your phone had a little tail that glowed and you could turn it on and off with a button. That's basically what fireflies are doing. And if you're still confused, just imagine a tiny, glowing light bulb attached to a bug's back, controlled by a tiny brain. It's kind of magical, and also kind of weird. But that's what makes fireflies so cool. So here's the first myth I want to bust. Fireflies use their tails like a flashlight. No, really, that's not how it works. They're not even using their tails at all. Just thought I'd throw that out there. You know how sometimes you think you're seeing something, but it's just a trick of the light? Well, that's basically what's happening here. Fireflies are using a chemical reaction, not a light bulb. It's like trying to light a match with a spoon. Not the same thing. The real thing is called bioluminescence, and it's basically the glow stick version of a light show. Fireflies make a chemical called luciferin, and they use an enzyme called luciferase to light it out. It's like mixing glow paint with a light switch, but way more complicated. And here's the kicker. They don't even need the tail for it. The light comes from the abdomen, not the tail. So the tail is just, I don't know, like the handle of a flashlight, not the light itself. So if you ever thought you saw a firefly using its tail like a flashlight, you're not wrong. But you're also not seeing the whole picture. It's like saying your phone screen is the battery. Technically true, but not helpful. So, here's another myth I heard. Fireflies use their tails like a flashlight. But no, they don't have a battery. They just use chemicals. It's not like they have a switch to turn it on and off. It's more like a chemical reaction that happens automatically, like when you mix baking soda and vinegar. And if you think they're using their tails to signal friends, you're right. But it's not a flashlight. It's more like a tiny disco ball that only works in the dark. So, no, they don't turn their tails into light. They make light from their tails, like a glow stick, but with more biology and less glitter. So the next time someone says fireflies have light tails, just say they have light tails, but not in the way you think. So you're like, wait, fireflies light up their tails, but how is that even possible? Well, guess what? Your phone flashlight does basically the same thing, just with more batteries and less creepy. And if you've ever used a glow stick, you're basically a firefly in a lab coat. So yeah, fireflies are magic, they're just nature's early LED lights. Okay, so I'm out hiking and I see a firefly, and I'm like, oh cool, I've got a light show. But then I realize I'm not actually seeing a firefly, I'm seeing a ladybug. Wait, ladybugs glow too? No. Wait, no. Ladybugs glow with a different kind of light. Like, it's not like a firefly's tail, it's more like a disco ball in a haunted house. So I'm like, wait, is this even a real example? And then I think about how fireflies are like nature's tiny lanterns, but some bugs are like nature's tiny disco balls. It's like if a glow stick had a personality and a sense of humor. And also, it's kind of creepy, but in a cool way. So here's the thing, fireflies are like, we're going to light up the night. But ladybugs are like, we're going to light up the night, but with a little bit of, I don't know, weirdness. It's like when your friend brings a disco ball to a quiet dinner party. You're like, okay, cool. But then you're also like, why are we dancing in the dark? So in real life, if you see a glowing bug, it's not always a firefly. It could be a ladybug, or a beetle, or even a fly. But the point is, nature's got a wild light show going on, and sometimes it's not what you expect. Which is kind of the point, right? Like, surprise! And that's the real world example that goes surprisingly hard. Not because it's hard, but because it's unexpected. Like, you're expecting a firefly, and you get a ladybug. It's like when you order a burger and get a taco. It's not bad, it's just different. So, in conclusion, fireflies are cool. But nature's light show is wilder than a karaoke night at a convenience store. And if you're ever in a dark forest, just remember, the light might not be a firefly. It might be a ladybug trying to be cool. Or maybe it's just a glow stick that got lost. So, if we're talking about fireflies, we're not just talking about a few glowing bugs. We're talking about a whole army of light show specialists. And some of them, they're basically nature's version of a light-up disco ball. The record holder for brightest firefly light? A bug that's basically a tiny lantern. It's like if a firefly had a flashlight and decided to take it to the next level. And here's the kicker. This light isn't just bright, it's super bright. Bright enough to light up a whole room if you're in a cave and forgot your phone. But now, how does a bug turn its tail into a flashlight? Well, it's not a tail, it's a light organ. And it's basically a bunch of cells working like tiny batteries and tiny light bulbs all at once. So next time you see a firefly, remember, you're witnessing nature's version of a light-up toy. And if you're lucky, you might even see one that's basically a tiny disco ball in the dark. Okay, so what happens when the firefly's light goes wrong? Well, sometimes they flash too fast, like a disco ball in a sauna. It's like trying to dance with a strobe light and a hangover. The other fireflies just roll their eyes and walk away. Or maybe the light goes out completely, like a light bulb in a horror movie. You know the feeling, when your phone dies and you're stuck in a dark room with a bunch of weird insects. It's like being the only one who forgot to charge their glow stick. Sometimes the light flickers like a broken TV, and it's just weird. You know when your phone screen starts glitching and you're like, is this a virus or am I just tired? That's the Fireflies version of a tech support call. And then there's the worst case scenario. The Firefly starts glowing the wrong color. Like, Imagine your favorite snack turning into a different snack mid-chew. It's like your brain is trying to trick your taste buds, but with light instead of candy. So yeah, fireflies are basically nature's version of a TikTok influencer. But if they ever go viral for the wrong reasons, they're just a weird, glowing disaster. And honestly, we're all just here for the light show, right? So you think you know fireflies? You think you've seen everything? Oh, but here's the kicker, most of what you know is just the tip of the glowy iceberg. They're not just cute little bugs with sparkly tails. They're also kind of a pain in the neck for their own kind. Like, they're so focused on glowing that they forget to, I don't know, not glow in the dark. So yeah, they're not just magical little bugs. They're also a little bit of a liability. And that's not even counting the fact that they're kind of annoying to watch if you're trying to sleep. In the end, fireflies are like a party trick with a built-in spotlight. Everyone loves the show, but nobody wants to be the one holding the flashlight. So next time you see a firefly, remember, it's not just a little light in the dark. It's a whole ecosystem of glow, danger, and maybe a little bit of drama. So, how did people even figure out fireflies glow? Well, imagine trying to explain why your favorite toy glows in the dark, but your parents don't believe you. That's basically what scientists did with fireflies. They started by watching fireflies, like, really watching. And then they noticed other glowing things, like jellyfish and certain mushrooms. Oh, and also glow-in-the-dark stickers. That's how they got curious. Quick word from our sponsor. If this sounds like something you enjoy, take a look at the Apple AirPods 2nd generation. There's a link and a QR code on screen right now, and in the description below. Alright, back to it. Then they started asking questions like, why do they glow? And is it chemical or magical? And then, boom, they found out it's actually a chemical reaction, like a tiny light bulb in their guts. It took centuries of guesswork, like trying to figure out if it's a light bulb or a disco ball. But eventually, they realized it's just nature's way of making light without burning anything up. So yeah, humans figured it out by being curious, asking dumb questions, and basically treating fireflies like they're part of a weird sci-fi movie. Before you go, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And tell us in the comments what you'd like us to make next. We read every single one. Thank you so much for watching.